This is the Creating Frequency Distributions handout. Once we have data done via sampling or whatever, we're ready to organize and present our collected data. A categorical frequency distribution is a frequency distribution, a chart that tells you how many of each thing there is, about data that falls into categories. So an example that we have is blood types. On page 314, number 1, we see this list of blood types. I've got it right here. And we want to build a frequency distribution. We look and see, well, what types of results did we get? Well, we got type A, type B, type AB, and type O. Now we just need to say how many of those there are. Now if you look on page 315, they have a chart for you to do this problem, and it has a middle column that's called tally marks. So that's one method you could use to make sure you don't miss anything. You could just go through and each one look through it and say, okay, A, tally mark by the A's. O, tally mark by the O's. You could do it that way. Or you could go through and say, okay, I'm going to count all the A's, and maybe even draw a line through each one as you do it. If there's no real good reason why you can't write on your paper, I'd do it that way. That really will help you not double count something or skip something. That's the biggest error people make on these. It's just like your eyeballs kind of wiggle and you miss one. Okay, so if I'm counting A's, I've got 1, 2, and if I could, I would cross them out when I counted them. 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, to save some time, I just put them all in there for you. That's it. We're done. We did it. That's the frequency distribution. Now, once you have a frequency distribution, you could make that same data be even more readily accessible to a reader by creating a graph. Categorical data, like this, works well in the form of a pie chart or a bar graph. If you are going to make a pie chart by hand, there's 25 total. So 5 out of the 25 are A. Now for a pie graph, you've got the whole circle, and you make the different pieces of the pie sized relative to how much that data is. That way someone can look at it quickly and be able to tell how big each category is in relationship to the whole and in relationship to each other. So you know that a circle, here we go, a circle is, let's see if I can do this backwards. A circle, nope, this is hard to do. A circle is 360 degrees all the way around, right? It's 180 is half of the circle, and a fourth of the circle is 90. There we go. It's hard to do from behind. Okay, then half of one of those fourths is 45 degrees. So as we're making our pieces of pie, we want to get the sizes right. It's 360 degrees all the way around. So for the A's, 5 of those 25 blood types are A. So 5/25ths of the total. So I multiply on the calculator 5 times the 360 degrees that go all the way around the circle 72 degrees of that is going to be A. So that's going to be smaller than 90, but bigger than 45. So maybe like there-ish. It'll be about that big of a chunk. If you're doing this on a test, if it's pretty close, just kind of eyeballing it, I'm good with that. If it's radically different, like if you made a 72-degree segment be smaller than 45 degrees or bigger than 90 degrees, that's way off. So, just get it in the right neighborhood. So then B, there's 7 of those. 7 out of 25. So I multiply 7/25 times 360, which is all the way across. It's going to be 100, a little over 100 degrees. So that is going to be bigger than a fourth. Be a little bit bigger. Right? That's how you do it by hand. If you're doing a bar graph, then you would just make A, B, 5 tick marks tall. Or if you're doing it horizontally, you'd make it 5 tick marks long. And make sure you label everything. If you are doing it on a spreadsheet, we can create a frequency distribution on a spreadsheet. A, B, A, B, O. And let's put in those frequencies. I'm going to select the data that I want. This will be easier if that is bigger because I'll see more of my menu options. Okay, let's get myself out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to go to insert, and if I want a pie graph, there it is. And that easy. You can edit this, you can choose the different, you see the key right there. But I'd like to point out, let me hit escape and get out of all of that. Okay, so let's say I want to make a pie graph of this. And I go to insert again. Well, what I wanted to show you wasn't happening. If I make it too small, for some reason, you might not see what you need up here. The smaller your screen is, the more things are put into submenus, and you have to like pull it down. I'll show you what I mean on Word. I know it'll do that here. Okay, see, look how the options changed up here. Now I've got to like click on that to see all those submenu things. So anyway, my point is, when you go to Excel and you're looking for something, if you can't find it, you could try making your window bigger. You could try just looking inside things. If there's a drop-down arrow, like here, oh, look at all those things we couldn't see. Okay, so that's a pie graph. The other kind of chart that we would commonly make with a categorical data is a bar graph, like that. Lots of different ways you can make it. Okay, I'd like to point out that if you're making a graph by hand or using technology, please make sure that you are labeling everything. For example, blood types sampled, or like, that's what that is. Okay, I'm in the chart design tab here. Add chart element. I definitely want axis titles. So this is the blood types. The second is frequency. If we had something where each number represented 100 results, then we might say in hundreds. It's not in this case. I want to make sure that if I'm doing this by hand, I've got these numbers labeled, all of that. When you're doing categorical data, these aren't numbers. These A, B, 0, those are not numbers. Don't have your bars touch. Keep them separate. And the same is true with a pie graph. You want to have everything labeled.